Before we begin, I need to warn you, this story involves the disappearance of a young child, and it is deeply unsettling. This is the true account of Tavish Sutton, a 1-month-old infant who vanished from a locked pediatric ward in an Atlanta hospital in 1993. Despite being under 24-hour medical supervision and surrounded by nurses, security, and other patients' families, he simply disappeared. If stories like this are meaningful to you, please consider subscribing. Now, let's begin. Tavish Sutton was born on February 10th, 1993, just days before Valentine's Day, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the 4th child born to his mother, but this was not a joyful occasion. By the time Tavish entered the world, the mother had already lost custody of her 3 older children, Tavish's siblings. She suffered from schizophrenia and was receiving treatment in a mental institution, unable to care for herself, let alone a newborn baby. Days after Tavish's birth, a concerned relative made a phone call to the Georgia Department of Family and Children Services. Officials arrived and took custody of the youngster from an unwilling Wanda. At just days old, Tavish became a ward of the state. He was placed with a foster family, one of thousands of children lost in the system, hoping for a chance at a normal life. For about a month, Tavish lived with his foster family. But then, something went wrong. Around March 6, 1993, the 1-month-old developed an abscess on his body, a painful infection that required minor surgery. He was admitted to Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, one of the city's major medical centers. The procedure was routine, and on March 8, 1993, doctors successfully removed the abscess. Tavish was recovering well. Because he was in state custody, Tavish was placed in the Hughes Spalding Pediatric Unit, a secure wing of the hospital designed specifically for children. He was assigned to a semi-private room, meaning he shared the space with one other infant. Hospital protocol required that only authorized visitors with special passes could enter the pediatric wing after 8 p.m. Security was tight. The night before Tavish disappeared, something strange happened. Around 8:30 in the evening, an agitated man attempted to enter the pediatric wing. He had no visitor pass and could not provide a legitimate reason for wanting to be there. When staff questioned him, he left before security could be called. The man was described as tall, skinny, and wearing a baseball cap. No one got his name. No one knew who he was looking for. That detail would haunt investigators later. The next day, March 9th, 1993, started like any other morning in the pediatric ward. At 6:45 a.m., a nurse made her routine check on Tavish. He was sleeping peacefully in his crib. 2 relatives of his roommate were also in the room, sleeping on a sofa, exhausted from keeping vigil over their own sick child. 15 minutes, that's all it took. When the nurse returned at 7 a.m., the youngster's crib was empty. The baby was gone. The hospital tags that had been around his wrist and ankle were gone. The little white t-shirt with the flower print he had been wearing was gone. There was no sign of a struggle, no crying, no commotion. The 2 relatives sleeping on the sofa had not heard a thing. A 1-month-old youngster had vanished from a locked pediatric ward under 24-hour medical supervision in one of Atlanta's busiest hospitals, and nobody saw anything. Panic erupted through Grady Memorial Hospital. Security was immediately notified. Every exit was checked. Surveillance footage was reviewed. Staff members were questioned. How does a baby disappear from a hospital? The investigation revealed disturbing security lapses. Despite the strict 8 p.m. visitor policy, the pediatric ward was not as secure as everyone believed. The mysterious man from the night before became a person of interest, but he was never identified. Had he been surveilling the ward? Had he come back in the early morning hours? Tavish's biological mother was still in the mental institution. She did not even know her son had been hospitalized. She could not have taken him. Her family was investigated thoroughly and cleared. Tavish's foster family was also investigated and cleared. They had no motive, and they were devastated by his disappearance. The roommate's family members, who had been sleeping in the room, were questioned extensively. They remembered nothing unusual. They had been exhausted, caring for their own sick child. They had not seen anyone enter or leave. But someone had. Someone had walked into that semi-private room, picked up a 1-month-old baby, removed his hospital identification tags, and walked out. All within 15 minutes. In a hospital. In broad daylight. So what happened? Police developed a disturbing theory. Investigators believed Tavish had been abducted by a woman who was pretending to be pregnant and who desperately wanted a child of her own. Rumors circulated about an unidentified woman who lived near the hospital, somewhere from 4 to 24 miles away, who had been seen feigning pregnancy. This was not unprecedented. Hospital abductions, while rare, follow certain patterns. The perpetrator is usually a woman in her late 20s to early 40s who has suffered a miscarriage or stillbirth. She often tells her partner or family she is pregnant and feels trapped by the lie. Desperate and delusional, she targets maternity wards or pediatric units, looking for an opportunity. She often poses as a nurse or hospital worker, wearing scrubs or a white coat. She waits for a moment when no one is watching. She takes the baby and walks out, confident and calm, as if she belongs there. And in the chaos of a busy hospital, no one questions her. Had this happened to Tavish? Had someone dressed as medical staff simply walked in, picked him up, and carried him out as if he were her own child? The theory fit, but there was no evidence. No woman was ever identified. No suspect was ever arrested. Tavish's mother filed a lawsuit against Grady Memorial Hospital. Despite her mental illness and her loss of parental rights, she was still Tavish's mom, and the hospital had failed to protect him. How does a child disappear from a locked pediatric ward? In 1994, just 1 year after Tavish's disappearance, the case was settled. The hospital agreed to pay the parent $600,000 without admitting fault. It was an acknowledgement that something had gone catastrophically wrong, even if no one could explain exactly what. But the money didn't bring the youngster back. Today, Tavish Sutton would be 32 years old. He could be anywhere. He could be living in Atlanta, raised by the woman who took him, never knowing he was stolen from a hospital as an infant. He might have a 1/4-inch surgical scar on his left buttock from the abscess removal, the only physical clue to his real identity. Age-progressed images have been created showing what Tavish might look like today. A young man with black hair, and brown eyes. Tips from people have come in over the years, but none have led anywhere. The case remains open. Investigators never stopped looking. But without evidence, without witnesses, without even a solid suspect, where do you begin? Tavish Sutton vanished from what should have been the safest place in the world, a hospital surrounded by medical professionals, security cameras, and locked doors. And yet, somehow, impossibly, he was gone. 30 years later, we still do not know who took him. If Tavish Sutton is out there, if he is still living and breathing, he deserves to know the truth. He deserves to know that he was stolen, that he was wanted, that people never stopped looking for him. If you want to hear more stories of mysteries that shatter everything we think we know about safety and security, please subscribe and join me for the next one. Thank you for watching.